Hey budding guitarists, welcome to the channel. Hopefully all of you guys are playing your chords, songs, having a lot of fun, some pain, but it's all good. So keep doing what you're doing and things will start getting better. So if you have any specific questions, comments, just leave me a note on my email or on any of the videos and I'll try my best to answer it. Anywho, I think with the previous two videos we kind of skipped a beat. We directly went into the songs. I just was a bit excited to put something out there. But as any self-respecting budding guitarist would do, I thought it would be a good idea to do some lessons around the chords, chord progressions, and kind of build up from there. So what I want to do is over the next few lessons look at the major chords, some of the common minor chords. Um, we'll look at some very basic chord progressions which are actually used in a lot of songs. We'll look at how do we strum, how do we improve our strumming, how do we improve our singing so that we can sing along while we strum and play the chords. So we look at all of those things. So it should be a lot of fun. Uh, so looking at the major chords, you have the major chords and the major minor chords. I mean, the first major means actually main. So you have the main major chords and the main minor chords. But in this lesson, we'll be concentrating just on the major chords. Uh, so, like frankly speaking, when I started playing about a year ago, I really didn't have the time or the inclination to um, look at a lot of do a lot of classes, go to a teacher. I just wanted to play the songs that I loved, and I looked up the songs, I looked up the chords, and started playing them. And what I quickly realized though is that as if you know a few major chords and a few minor chords, with the right strumming pattern and the right timing, you can play a lot of songs, and it doesn't need to get very complicated. So, with that spirit in mind, we'll go for those major chords and the minor chords, and build it from there. So, if you look at the musical scale, you have obviously your C, D, E, F, G, A, B, right? Yeah. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B. So the F and the B chords are kind of bar chords. You can play them in open position though. But those are the only two tricky ones. The rest of the chords in the major chords category you can play in open position. And a bunch of all of these chords are very common chords and you'll find in a lot of songs. So it's good to know all these chords and practice through them. Uh, F is a kind of necessary evil. A lot of songs do have F in them, and you can either play it in open position or bar position. But uh, I think so. I mean, and we'll cover it. We'll cover it, I guess. But B actually as a chord, I don't like that chord. It's like a funny. It just lands funny with my fingers. It's a weird chord, and I try to avoid it as much as possible. And frankly speaking, I don't see that many songs with a B chord. I mean, recently I've started seeing one or two songs, but mostly songs don't have a B chord. So we'll cover it, keep it in a back pocket. Maybe you have better luck with that chord. Um, so as we go through the chords, a couple of things you want to keep in mind is in addition to how your fingers are landing on the chord, you want to make sure where they're landing on the fret, because that makes a difference in long term uh, as you improve your playing. And the second part is that which strings are you plucking. So for all, not for all chords you don't pluck all the six strings. So for some chords you do the five strings, and for some you do four strings. Initially, if you I mean, initially you can do all six if you want, but as you get comfortable with your chord positioning, I would start recommending that you also see where your which strings are you plucking. So let's go over the chords now. So I won't be doing any close-ups because I want to cover both the plucking as well as the finger positioning. So let's start with C chord. It's a very basic chord. So in the C chord, basically you have your ring finger, which is on the third fret of the fifth string. Your middle finger, or tall man, is on the second fret of the fourth string, and your pointer is on the first fret of the second string. And when you're playing when your fingers are on the fret, you want to make sure that, and this is true for all chords by the way, that your fingers are as close to the nut as possible. So if this is the nut of each of the frets, then if you're on the third fret, you want to make sure that your finger is close to the nut, almost on top of it actually. What that does, it makes it easier to play that chord. You don't have to use as much power in your palm and your fingers to press on the strings. If you go more behind, you'll find that you'll spend much more power and your fingers will get tired easily. So you want to try to slide over. When you're going through chord progressions, I mean till date, I also sometimes go to the middle of the string rather than at the edge, but so that's something you'll build over time, but there's something to keep in the back of your mind is where is your finger, where is your finger. So for the C chord, so you have the chord positioning. So for the C chord, you don't plug the sixth string, so you do only fifth string down. And one thing that you'll maybe initially find that when you're playing some of these chords, like you'll mute the lower string. For example, for the C chord, even the first string should be free. You shouldn't be playing and you shouldn't be touching anything. But if your fingers are not curled up right, you might inadvertently you might mute it. But that's okay. That's okay. I mean, slowly as you gain strength in your fingers and your fingers start to curl a bit more, it'll start getting better. So don't fret too much if you're muting the lower string. I mean, it does mute the sound a bit, but this is something that gets better with practice. So the C chord again, your ring finger on the third fret of the fifth string, your middle finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and your pointer on the first fret of the second string. That's a C chord, and you're plucking the fifth string down to the first string. We're not plugging the sixth string. Now for the D chord, the next chord is D. So D, so the D chord, your ring finger is going to be on the third fret of the second string. Your pointer is going to be on the second fret of the third string, and your middle finger is going to be on the second fret of the first string. And here again, please try to make sure that your fingers are towards the nut of the fret. And here for D, you're plucking the fourth string down. So you're not plucking the fifth and the sixth string. So that's the D chord. The E chord, for the E chord, you have your middle finger on the second fret of the fifth string, is that the pointer? No. Yeah, your pointer on the, your ring finger on the second fret of the fourth string, and your pointer on the first fret of the third string. And for E, you are actually plucking all the strings. And the reason is that the top string, the sixth string, is an E string. So when you're playing the E chord, you also plug the E string. After E, you have F. Let's skip F for now. I'll cover that later. Then let's go to G. For G chord, you have your middle finger on the third fret of the sixth string, your pointer on the second fret of the fifth string, your ring finger on the third fret of the second string, and your pinky on the third fret of the first string. And here you're plucking all the six strings. Here also note that the fourth and the third string are open strings. But initially when you're playing, you might end up muting the fourth and third strings. It's okay. Try keeping your fingers curled up so that you're not muting them. And what I've found helpful is that instead of your finger coming all the way up here, you might want to slide down a bit to give your hand this extra curve, which then helps not mute the strings that you're not playing. Then you have got the G. Then the A is another, is an easy chord. So for the A chord, this is an A chord right here. So for the A chord, you have your pointer on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, your middle finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and your ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 2nd string. Here also the 1st string should not be muted. Sometimes you might find that you're muting it. Just keep working on the angle of the hand to keep it non-muted. And for the strings, you are doing the 5th string down. The 5th string is an A string, so you do 5th string down. So for the C, for E and G, basically for E and G, you are playing all 6 strings. For C and A, you're playing 5th string down, and for D, you're playing 4th string down. So those are the open chords. Those are the major chords on the guitar, and these are all open positions. So I would recommend just practicing these chords one by one, keeping in mind if you're muting those strings or not, making sure that your finger position is correct and you're plucking the right strings. So now F and B. Okay, so F is a bar chord, and a bar chord is a chord in which you use your pointer to actually form a nut, and you can use that to slide across the fretboard. So F, we can play 2 styles. We can play open chord position, which is how I started playing it initially, and then as I got more comfortable, I started playing in bar chord. So let me cover the open chord position first. So the F chord, basically you have your ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, your pinky on the 3rd fret of the 4th string, your tall man on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and with the pointer you're going to cover both the 2nd and the 1st string. So basically both the strings will be done with this finger essentially. And when you're playing this, you play 5th string down. So when you're playing the open chord bar position, one thing I found useful is that the thumb, basically you slide it below the halfway point of the neck, which kind of gives you this pressure to allow your pointer to press those lower 2 strings. Otherwise you end up muting it and you can't really play it very well. So that's the open chord position. For the bar chord position, you keep except for the pointer, the rest of the fingers stay the same, and you just cover it so that it's covering the whole nut. And in this case, you play all 6 strings. So that's the bar chord position for F. It's a little bit of a tricky chord, so I would suggest start practicing it. Some very common songs actually do need that chord, so it's a good chord to have in your back pocket actually. The next chord is the last chord, actually is a B chord. So B is a funny chord for me at least, and if you got the A, if you know the A chord, then all you got to do is shift it 1 down. And to play the open chord position, you take your pointer and move it to the press the first, put on the 1st fret of the 1st string. Still cannot get it right. That's the B chord. That's the open chord position. And if you were to close it, you just make a nut out of your pointer, similar to what you did for the F. So you got the A. Shift it down 1 and put your pointer down. See how my hand is funny? I just don't like it. But anyways, so the B chord, you don't have to really get into it unless there's really a song that you really love and you want to play that song, then go for it. But I would recommend staying away from it till you master the F chord and the other open chords. So other thing is, I mean, if you're muting some strings which you shouldn't be muting, don't worry about it. Just keep practicing, things will get better. If you're not playing, if you're plucking all the strings, the sound does change a little bit. It's not really recommended, but as you get better with the hand positioning, the strumming will come actually. Because your mind is trying to strum at the same time, and at the same time trying to find, the fingers are trying to find where they should be. Should they be in the fifth string? Should I be on the fourth string? Where should I be? So it's hard to initially coordinate all the things together. So my recommendation would be is get the finger positioning right, and strum however you want to strum. And once once your left hand knows what it's doing, hey, this is my A, this is my G, this is my D, this is my G, then you can concentrate more. You can leave your left hand to do what it's doing, and you can concentrate more on the right hand with your strumming. So if you tackle it one by one, it becomes a much more easier thing to do. Hopefully this was helpful. So the next tutorial I'm going to cover the minor chords, and then we'll go from there. So if you like the video, do send me your comments, subscribe to the channel, keep strumming, and see you soon.